Zoom in, Zim. Start, Karen. Could you tell us about yourself? We know that you're a businesswoman. We know that you've been involved in a range of initiatives, but I'd love to understand a little bit more about your background and what you represent.
Okay, so one of the many questions that I get asked is, how do I balance work, family, and business and everything else that I do? So first and foremost, I'm a mother of 3, but I also have lots of other children who may not have come from my womb.
Right.
And I'm a wife, but I have been in the beauty and fashion industry for about 30 years. I'm going to be 50 this year. I'm proud to say I will be 50. So definitely, I think I'm known most in the beauty and fashion industry. I've been in it for a long time.
Really great to hear that off you. As a businesswoman, I think one of our worst nightmares is not being able to operate businesses. And and the dreaded contingency planning, continuity planning is one thing that we don't typically think about normally because we don't think that any big disaster is going to strike. For your fellow entrepreneurs out there, what advice would you give them on balancing the need to continue operating a business within the confines of lockdown, shutdown, etc., and protecting your workforce?
Well, initially for us, it was, the most important thing was to protect and to make sure that the workforce is supported so that by the time this is over, we still have them and we haven't lost them. So that was really important as a business for us to do. Once they've been at home, it's to then continue to motivate them, to be able to counsel them, to bring them together, to share notes, I challenge some of our therapists to say, every day, show us an exercise that you're doing at home, for example, or do something, that's going to add to society. And then with my marketing team, what we've done is said, look, we've got to remain relevant. People are on their phones, gadgets all day since they're at home. So let's make sure that the brand is still recognized. It's still visible. By the time we reopen, which I hope is going to be soon, we will not have lost too much. And we can really just smoothly transition back into full-blown business again. So I think that it's important for people to not sit back and just give up and say, well, this is it. We've got to remain relevant, got to be active, have brand strategies and marketing strategies in order to be ready once this is over.
And of course, we're now depending heavily on technology to push these messages and the brand awareness out. Have you had to rethink your marketing strategy, or have you just continued on the same continuum you were on before?
Oh, no, we've definitely had to think about it. It's been a lot more information and to show that we care. We care about our clients. We care about their well-being as well. So it's not just about come and have a treatment, or it's about, this is a remedy that you could use, or we've really used this time to reestablish our core values in terms of who we are and what we do, and remind people about our brand. That's what I've done. And I think I've seen a lot of that happening with other organizations who are doing the same thing. I think Zoom must be overloaded with different board meetings and strategy sessions that are going on. The other thing that we did was with organics. I didn't mention that I'm also a foodie. I absolutely have a passion for food and for cooking. I don't like to eat it as much as I like to create. We have organics. And so initially we'd started just doing takeaway. But now, since we've got the lockdown, it's an essential service because people still need to eat. So we're doing delivery, and that's working quite well. And of course, we're making sure that whoever's doing the delivery is safe and is got their mask and is got the hand sanitizers, and there's no contact.
If COVID-19 has brought anything, it is a real reinvention, if you like, of how businesses operate. I can recount a story of being in Zimbabwe, wanting to go out for a meal at 9:30 on a Monday night and not being able to find anything other than Nando's. No disrespect to Nando's, of course, but it would be nice to have a bit of an option. So here's hoping that the home delivery and all these initiatives do carry on post-COVID-19.
Absolutely.
I assume that every businesswoman, every businessman is a mentor and has taken younger generations, along with them on the road to all things entrepreneurial. What is it you're telling your mentees at the moment about either rethinking their businesses, starting businesses, or just remaining focused on ideas that they might have had before this crisis hit?
When I am mentoring, I always say, look for opportunity within the challenges that come up in whatever is happening in the marketplace. So with COVID, there's definitely opportunity, and that is within things like manufacturing. Just in the last 2 weeks, almost all the clothing manufacturers are now importing as much fabric as they can, or using what they've got in stores and making PPE. And the quality of it so far has been fantastic, and they'll be able to export it. It's almost like a new industry has been created, which can resuscitate some of our manufacturing. So I think that's an opportunity that a lot of young people can look into. They could come together, and as a consortium, one could do masks, and one could do aprons, and one could do the booties, or whatever that might be within the PPE menu. And then the other opportunity is definitely pharmaceutical, with the hydrochloroquine and Zithromax and all of that. So medicines that could be made in Zimbabwe. It would be fantastic to collaborate with some of the multinationals and resuscitate our pharmaceutical. Instead of just importing all the medicines, let's try to have as much as we can made locally, so that we don't ever have to struggle the next time there's a need for medicines or equipment. I think that there's opportunities in a lot of arenas, and it's really just to not panic, to sit down and say, where am I the authority? What point of difference do I have that can contribute to making a difference within the business environment?
And what a lot of people might want to understand is what the ease of doing business is. So yes, I've got this great idea. Yes, I've got the knowledge, but how do I go about getting licensing or, being authorized to actually start this manufacturing business? And I suppose part of the intel that you might be able to share, should you be aware, is how simple or not it might be.
Doing business anywhere in the world is not easy. People think that it's easy, but it's not easy. It doesn't matter where you are. There's always a process, and you've got to be patient, and you have to be deliberate, and you have to be very disciplined and methodical and strategic at the same time. What I think is most important is coming together, where people have ideas, but most often they work in little silos. That is a huge issue in Zimbabwe, and you'll find that one person will start something, and within a week somebody's copied them. Instead of having capacity and bringing people together, and it is about capacity, and to bring all those ideas together and capitalize on that and come together, collaborate. And then once you've done that, and people see that you're serious and you're not just thinking small, they've got to think big, really big. And, and then take your ideas to some of the corporates that are out there who are constantly looking for talent. I mean, we've got the most amazing, our human capital in Zimbabwe is amazing. And you've seen that from just around the world, people who've left, but even the people who are still here, talented, really well educated. The opportunity, for example, just with call centers, we could offer and export our services, like financial services, using call centers, legal, telemedicine. There's so many. The human capital is there already. So it's just a matter of capitalizing on that. Very good.
Well, that is most insightful for those of you who are thinking about business. It sounds like you're getting free advice right here from none other than Karen Mutasa. Karen, my final set of questions to you. You mentioned earlier on about managing work life, being a mom, being a businesswoman. What is your biggest challenge in making sure that nothing suffers in the process of trying to do it all?
A lot of prayer.
Right.
I think that, again, it's a team effort. I'm very blessed. I have a very supportive family, and within that structure, wherever I need some subsidy, whether it's with the family or picking up the children from school, most of the time I don't have to do that. My husband's amazing. He does a lot of the drop-offs and pickups, and spends time with them as well, even though he's a very busy guy. But they do caution me when I'm out of order. Like, we're not allowed cell phones at the dinner table, so that we make sure we have family time. I tend to work very late into the night because I wait until I've done everything that I need to do that's required of me for my family. They are my priority at the end of the day.
Well,
my
you were
family
communicating late last night, weren't we? So I think it might have been midnight.
I know.
2 a.m. where I am. Sure.
In fact, my team at all the businesses, they get such a shock when they wake up in the morning and they see some email or message that's come through at 3:00 in the morning. So yes, I'm blessed that I'm able to have the energy, but I think it's because I'm passionate about everything that I do. If you're passionate, it becomes fun. Very often my husband, when he sees me hectic and going crazy, his question is, are you having fun?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know about that, but the passion to do the things that you like to do, and for me, the passion to make a difference in my society, within my family, within the country as a whole is huge.
Fantastic.
It's huge for me.
And it's evident talking to you. I am big on leaving words of encouragement to people who are watching this. We're all in this COVID fight together. It's affecting people in a multitude of ways. And with all the negative press that's out there and scary statistics we're hearing, what would you say to your fellow Zimbabweans just to lift their spirits up?
Okay. I think that and I say we, coming together as Zimbabweans, we can build something very special together. But it takes that togetherness. We need to really, really come together, support one another, and realize that it's not just about us and them, government and the private sector, or government and the informal sector. We need to all work together, government and private sector, and, the NGOs, all of those different groups of people. Let us come together to be able to overcome what is happening in the world, and in particular in Zimbabwe.
Absolutely spot on. Karen, thank you ever so much for joining Zoom in Zim. It's been a pleasure having you on. I look forward to seeing developments of all the great work that you're doing out there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the invite. It was a real pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise, Karen. You take care.